Welcome to Creature Guide Live. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan, and we'll be discussing different animal news from around the world and taking a look at different exciting animal videos. So, starting off with Snipes.com, several bear encounters interrupt U.S. troops parachute training in northern Japan. I didn't think that this was even possible, but let's take a look. I would think any drones or fighter jets, or even people on the ground would just take the bear out. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Renaissance Marines had 4 run-ins with bears during recent parachute training in northern Japan, according to the commander of an Alaska-based U.S. Army battalion. Members of the 11th Airborne Division's 3rd Battalion, 509th Parachute Infantry Regiment from Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson are in Japan this month for a series of parachute drills. The soldiers jumped into Narashino Training Area in Chiba Prefecture and Ohibara Maneuver Area in Miyagi Prefecture, both on Japan's main island of Honshu, before deploying to the northern island of Hokkaido, said their commander, Lieutenant Colonel Cody Grimm. The bear encounters occurred at Ohayabara, where Renaissance Marines from the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force parachuted in ahead of the soldiers' January 13th jump, Grimm told Stars and Stripes by phone Saturday from Hokkaido. So the Hokkaido is a northern island over in Japan with the brown bear population. There are no black bears over in Hokkaido. Black bears are only found in Honshu, and also specifically the Asiatic black bear. And can we also get some photos of Asiatic or Japanese brown bears and Japanese black bears? So the Marines had 4 bear encounters, he said. They had bear spray, and they had a team that responded with more bear spray and fireworks. A third MEF spokesman, Captain Colin Kennard, was unable to confirm the bear run ins when reached by email Tuesday. Soldiers are accustomed to operating in bear habitats while training in Alaska, Grimm said, noting that black bears pose less concern than brown bears. Um, so let's see. Um, I'm guessing this is at least certain Marines train in heavily brown bear territory, but I haven't heard of that. But I guess there's a lot of different training. So, no, I'm just still surprised that
Wait a
this is
minute.
occurring.
I didn't think this was one.
They should have really round ears, a bit of a stripe on them when it comes to the Japanese brown bears. Same thing for the Japanese Asiatic black bears, which are they look a bit different from the ones over in mainland Southern Asia. Technically, you find black bears all the way up to northeastern China somewhat. And here's a smaller Asiatic black bear, but this is one from the mainland. This is probably an individual from possibly Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. They can reach over 400 pounds or a little over 200 kilograms. These are adults. Now, these look like individuals from further north, maybe some part of China or maybe even certain parts of Russia they possibly wander
They
into.
didn't tell me to put the stuff up. It's
Sorry
up
about that,
now.
everybody. Um, But, type of forest habitat, I don't think it's possible. This might be a habitat over in Japan, but seems a bit too cluttered. Not that they probably don't have certain, um, unhealthy forest. I mean, they definitely do over in Hokkaido, but that's where the brown bears are. So, um, yeah, when it comes to these guys, they're going to be feeding on probably occasionally sika deer, maybe even the fawns, and then feeding on a wide range of different species of insects, going after different species of fruit. It's a bit of an issue with all of the bear attacks going on, mainly because of recently degraded habitat. And the bears in certain areas are having trouble finding food.
What is this?
This is possibly a Japanese brown bear or just another inland, possibly Asiatic brown bear, but Asiatic brown bears tend to have much larger ears compared to their overall face, or much rounder ears. A bit of a smaller, thinner bottom section, and then just a large, round, circular main ear. And then they're not as large, despite them feeding on salmon over in Hokkaido. They don't obtain any sizes near like Kamchatka brown bears over in Russia, which are likely their ancestors. Or they were quite large at the end of the ice age, but then got separated. around 11,000 years ago, at around the same time that the Kodiaks over on Kodiak Island um, did over in southern Alaska at the end of the Pleistocene or the Ice Age.
It says this is a research bear. Hold on.
This is a big Japanese brown bear. That's definitely one of the individuals. They only feed on three different species of salmon over in Hokkaido. Some assume that all five different species of Pacific salmon, well, actually, there's more than five species, but all Pacific species of salmon reach Hokkaido. That's the truth is only cherry salmon, I believe, chum, and is the other one possibly think Chinook or pink salmon reach the area as well. But, for a few months, they do feed on salmon in that region. That's possibly a real photo, but I don't know, it just seems a bit off. Hmm. Definitely these other ones. I mean, yeah, he's even even got a salmon. So there's, quite a few on the island as well. So possibly over 11,000 Asiatic brown bears inhabit the island of Hokkaido with around 3 or 5 million people. So, they also usually inhabit just the certain coastal areas of the island as well. But obviously, they're traveling further inland to obtain certain rare, healthy forest habitats. Um, I'm guessing it's probably at like a rescue center or a zoo. I don't think that's an adult. And that's definitely not a Japanese, well, a more northern Japanese habitat look. I mean, maybe somewhere like Okinawa, but
It's
um,
it does say the two ferocious bears in Japan, and then picture of him.
yeah, it's probably a captive animal. I'm just really judging by the background.
Okay.
Um, so the brown bears here, they don't usually reach much more than maybe 600 pounds or a little over 285 kilograms. And yep, this is an actual picture from some populated area over in Hokkaido. So they're probably trying to raid certain garbage cans. However, there have been certain fatalities from brown bears over in Hokkaido. And even Honshu has had a bit of a problem. So that's the main island in Japan. So that's where Tokyo is and all of the larger urban areas. You've literally had black bears hunting people and eating them. So these are more than just garbage raiders. Now, historically, if you're looking at what Hokkaido and Japan used to be, like around 11,000, well, actually, let's go back to about 30,000 years ago, you had different species of mammoth existing here, as well as the large relative of fallow deer, the megaloceros. Actually, could you look up that animal? So it's Megalocerous. Had the largest antlers of any species of deer in existence, like even larger than the stag moose of the Pleistocene, which one species of moose I believe possibly inhabited Japan. Used to have reindeer over in Japan as well. They haven't changed since the Pleistocene very much. And I believe there are even cave lions roaming here, and also a species of wild bison, I believe. So, yep, this is an authentic animal. I believe the Megaloceros could reach over a ton or weighing over 2,100 pounds or about 1,000 kilograms. And they were just mostly feeding on different species of. I'm trying to think because Japan was the mammoths, much of Japan was the mammoth steppe at the time. So there have been vast areas of grassland. You did not find any animals like mastodons here, just mammoths. But trying to think what he was feeding on. It's not hitting me at the moment. I don't believe it was extensively grass, though he might have been feeding on grass occasionally. Even animals such as elk and mule deer, grasses, certain species of grasses over in North America are or they make up a certain part of their diet. There we go. Yeah, that's a good illustration. Despite this painting probably dating back to the 1950s or 1960s, this is pretty authentic. I mean, maybe the antlers might be a bit wide, but you could have had certain individuals that just had extremely wide antlers and they had access to good sources of calcium phosphorus. So, trying to wonder. I'm guessing now and then maybe he was feeding on certain species of aspen or willows wherever they were available. On the mammoth steppe, they probably weren't too common, unlike certain ecosystems of today, especially places like the Northern Continental Divide over in Montana. Well, goes all the way down to different parts of Colorado, New Mexico. But their antlers, I believe each individual could reach over 6 feet in length, or about what 1.8 meters. So let's see. It's a bit of a debate as to what specifically they would have been used for, considering certain. It's at least those have done analyses on the antlers. Certain paleontologists or other paleontologists suggest that they might have been used for simply display only, and they weren't just designed for attacking each other or even other animals, or they were used as weapons, especially during the breeding season, which is probably the only time they would have been fully formed. So throughout the year, either the animal would have been antlerless or just simply a soft velvet coating over the forming cartilage. So, yeah, this individual, it's not a bad representation. It looks like he just shed his velvet. That's what the blood-stained, uh, just pieces of velvet are along his antlers. So you could find Megaloceros not just over in Japan, but different parts of Eurasia or actually throughout Europe, quite a bit of Asia, probably different parts of Kazakhstan, northern China, Mongolia, Russia. I don't believe over in North America, though. It doesn't look like Megaloceros headed into that direction or never crossed the Bering Land Bridge, which was situated between Russia and Alaska and would occur when there was massive glacial events. So let's head back to the article. Okay, where were we? Oh, okay. Parachuters. I don't believe there are any brown bears. This is Hokkaido? This seems like a very, unless we're looking at forest, which is very possible, um, quite open terrain. I guess it's not hitting me certain other landscapes within interior Hokkaido, and I'm just thinking of the coastline, which is dotted with forests and rocky coasts. Let's see. So in both cases, we move away from the bear. We have a team in Alaska that has non-lethal means to get them out of there. I was expecting the complete opposite. It's actually quite surprising. So the training took place amid an increase in bear encounters across Japan. Air Force officials alerted the community at Maisawa Air Base in northeastern Japan after a bear was spotted on the installation January 10th. Not sure what they're referring to, but sounds good. Japan's Ground Self Defense Force was mobilized in November to help address bear threats in northern parts of the country. The rare deployment followed a surge in encounters nationwide that left 13 people dead and more than 200 injured so far in the current Japanese fiscal year. Wow. I remember hearing about the death count, but the injury, that's quite something. So, which ends March 31st, according to the country's Ministry of Environment. Experts have attributed the rise in bear encounters to factors including expanding forest areas, declining food sources, shrinking rural populations, and fewer hunters. I believe what it's talking about the expanding forest areas is not necessarily natural forest, but certain plantation tree plantations that host almost very little of the food that originally the brown bears would have had access to, outside of certain cicada nymphs. So basically, cicadas rising from the ground now and then, and that's why they're raiding certain other areas as well as taking advantage of people. Experts have attributed the rise in bear count. Oh, I said that. Japan is home to two species of bear. Let's see. Oh, uh, yeah, black bears can get a little over 200 pounds. But interesting, it's claiming that brown bears here can get up to like Alaskan, well, I'd say British Columbian grizzly bear size, which is quite astounding. I thought they were much smaller. That's probably an extremely large individual. So, let's see. Well, that was 11,700 in 2020. So, you more than double the number recorded 30 years earlier. I really wonder what the number is now, considering it's been, well, 5 to 6 years. The 11th Airborne Division trained with Japan's 1st Airborne Brigade, U.S. Marines, and British forces on Honshu. So that's the main island. On Hokkaido, the troops are training alongside Japan's Northern Army and a platoon of Canadian soldiers during the annual Northwind exercise, which began January 20th and runs through February 3rd. Now, in its 33rd year, the exercise focuses on cold weather operations and includes skiing, snowshoeing, and medical training. Okay, that's good to see. So let's head over to the next article. Remember to like and subscribe. Woo! Okay. From Sci News, new Jurassic lizard species has confusing set of features seen in snakes and geckos. Well, that sounds quite fascinating. I wonder how far back in the Jurassic this occurred, considering the Jurassic started around 201 million years ago and ends at around 145 million years ago with the start of the Cretaceous. So Brignether elgolensis, a species of hook-toothed lizard that lived during the Middle Jurassic about 167 million years ago, displays a mosaic of anatomical traits that is not present in living groups, with head and body proportions similar to modern monitor lizards and snake-like features of the teeth and jaws, alongside primitive traits shared with early diverging groups such as geckos. Okay, so we're somewhat in the Middle Jurassic period, around 167 million years ago, so this is just as certain species of marine reptiles like the pliosaurs, such as Liopleurodon, would have evolved, and even certain early species of long-necked sauropods, such as Cetiosaurus over in England, and probably even earlier members of the Diplodocid family. So early relatives of Diplodocus. So here's the individual. Yeah, he does have a very odd shaped. I've seen this in certain lizards, but sometimes it meant that he had a certain problem. I think it was like an iguana. But besides that, yeah, he's got a somewhat crocodile monitor look. So Bruganethar elgoensis is one of the oldest relatively complete fossil lizards yet discovered. The ancient reptile had snake-like jaws and hook-like curved teeth similar to those of modern-day pythons. Whoa, okay, that really is a snake-like trait. In the photo, these do not look like python teeth. Python teeth are very um, quite small, but very elongated and curved backwards. So definitely meant for um, puncturing further into the prey item, but also allowing for a quick, like almost a bit of like a slicing off flesh. But I'm confusing it with another predator. Very backwards and narrow shaped and pointed teeth. So nearly 41 centimeters or 16 inches long from head to tail, it was one of the largest lizards in its ecosystem, where it likely preyed on smaller lizards, early mammals, and other vertebrates like young dinosaurs. Well, 16 inches, it's a little over a foot. I mean, it's possible, depending on the dinosaur hatchling, that this certainly was possible, especially with smaller species of dinosaurs. Snakes are remarkable animals that evolved long, limbless bodies from lizard like ancestors. Brugnathar elgoensis has snake like features of the teeth and jaws, but in other ways, it is surprisingly primitive. This might be telling that snake ancestors were very different to what we expected, or it could instead be evidence that snake like predatory habits evolved separately in a primitive extinct group. According to the paleontologists, Brugnathar algoensis belongs to a new family of squamates, lizards and snakes named Paviraptoridae, an enigmatic group with potential importance for snake origins that was previously known from very incomplete remains. So interesting. So, like yesterday, it looks like we might have bumped into a new group of hadrosaurs or the duckbill dinosaurs, but they didn't come up with a named family at the moment. We have a new family of squamates called Paviraptoridae. So this is good to see. Earlier studies reported snake-like tooth-bearing bones that were found in close proximity with bones that had gecko-like features. But because these seem so drastically different, some researchers believe they belong to two different animals. Well, depending on the species of gecko, it could have been quite camo in texture, more of like a greenish, sort of dark greenish, brownish, beigeish look, or maybe even yellow, dark yellow in some instances. Or it could have somewhat of like a spotted pink sort of look, but it's like somewhat brown, small brown spots, and then light, somewhat pinkish look overall, and definitely doesn't have a round head though. So let's see, which helps distinguish it to crocodile monitors. So, but because these seemed, I think I already said that. Our work on Brugnothar egolensis rejects these earlier findings, showing that both snake-like and gecko-like features exist together in a single animal. The fossilized remains of Brugnothar elgoensis were discovered in 2016 by Stig Walsh from the National Museum, Scotland, on the Isle of Skye. Let's see. The Jurassic fossil deposits on the Isle of Skye are of world importance for understanding of the early evolution of many living groups, including lizards, which were beginning their diversification at around this time. I first described Perviraptorids some 30 years ago based on more fragmentary material. So it's a bit like finding the top of the jigsaw puzzle many years after you puzzled out the original picture from a handful of pieces. Oh, wait a second. Makes it out like Perviraptorid was already a thing. Um, I'm a bit confused on that. The mosaic of primitive and specialized features we find in Perviraptorids, as demonstrated by this new specimen, is an important reminder that evolutionary paths can be unpredictable. Yeah, it is quite interesting, especially early on in the lizards and more specifically, though, the snake's evolution. Since the early Jurassic is um, some of the earliest stages of snakes. Okay, so let's head to the next article. So from KSBW.com. Gray fox recovering after pipe removed from its neck in Monterey County. Concerned neighbors trap injured fox for treatment in Salinas. Oh, definitely was on its neck for quite some period of time.
We'll do the video at the end.
Okay. Um, so, Salinas, California, a gray fox is recovering at the SPCA Monterey County Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation Center after being found with a pipe stuck around its neck. The fox was brought to the center on Monday morning. The fox was first seen near Corral de Tierra on January 11th. Neighbors set traps after seeing posts about the fox on social media. On Monday morning, the fox entered a trap baited with syrup soaked bread on Mesa del Toro. I mean, foxes are omnivorous. And I am surprised, though, by syrup. I haven't heard of that being used to trap foxes, wolves, maybe a bear, but not something like this. It's quite interesting. Gray foxes, they're much smaller than the American red fox, which is a different species of fox compared to the European red fox. So, gray foxes don't usually reach much more than 8 pounds or a little over 3.5 kilograms. And they'll be feeding on different species of rodents. They're also the most arboreal of foxes, like meaning that they're quite adapted for climbing trees. That's why they take advantage, at least if it's quite a vertically shaped tree, of trees when animals or predators like red foxes are chasing them. They have a bit more of a problem. Something like a bobcat or a lynx is chasing them, or a cougar. Usually black bears will just let them be. In fact, there have been certain pictures captured on trail cameras of gray foxes. I think it was over in certain parts of Florida feeding with American black bears. But it's quite interesting. They'll feed on different species of fruits too. So let's see. The fox, a young male, was sedated at the center so the pipe could be removed. He had multiple deep wounds and was taken to the Avian and Exotic Clinic of Monterey for surgery to clean and suture the wounds. Hmm. Wow. He's gone through a lot. He will remain at the SPCA Wildlife Center for a few weeks until he makes a full recovery. The center says the fox has no other injuries and is receiving.
I think that word was supposed to be suture.
Did I say suitor?
It says suitor.
Oh, suture. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be spelled. Oh well. The center says the fox has no other injuries and is receiving ongoing care, including bandage changes, antibiotics, pain medication, meals, and fluids. That's good to hear. The SPCA Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation Center rescued more than 2,800 animals last year It is the only full-service wildlife rehabilitation center in Monterey County. That's a lot in a single year. Whoa. Okay, anything else? No, that's it? Okay. Well, let's see if, this isn't just a picture, which tends to occur now and then. Yeah, you can find gray foxes throughout much of, the United States, but you do not find them in areas such as Alaska, and I don't believe, like, different areas like the Yukon. Oh, well, yeah, so here's
There's
some
a couple
pictures, but
pictures, but nobody.
yeah, it's quite unfortunate. It's
Are they
almost
trying
like
to
he was
stretch his
in,
neck?
um yeah, maybe. He was trying to, join one of those, bat-eared fox tribes in Africa. So, let's see, which, by the way, the bat-eared fox is a real species. It inhabits, southern Africa, so different areas like Botswana, South Africa, especially over in the Kalahari Desert. They're the only species of fox to exclusively eat insects.
I try not to exclusively eat insects. They get
Yeah,
stuck in my teeth.
I don't think your muscles would survive too long either. Anything. Probably couldn't think very well. Yeah, wow. It's been on him for some Whoa, yep, it's been on him for some time. There was some bare flesh there, I believe. Unless that
Well,
was
that's probably
already
where they sutured him.
Unless they were already wrapping him up. Oh, okay. But still though. You mentioned that he needed surgery, so I was thinking somewhere in his core. Okay. Well, let's head over to the next article. Let's see. Whew. So from the IndianDefenseReview.com, a large black-eyed creature found in a remote Pacific mine is now officially classified as brand new species. Hmm. This sounds very mysterious. So, hidden deep in a once ravaged mining site on a remote Pacific island, scientists uncovered a sleek black eyed creature unlike anything cataloged before. Oh, that looks like a caiman or an eye of some crocodilian. The newly confirmed vertebrate species has drawn international attention to the Luasaid archipelago, a remote island chain in southeastern Papua New Guinea. The discovery occurred during a field survey in Milne Bay province, a region known for its ecological isolation and biological endemism, but rarely studied in depth by international research teams. For some reason, I thought we were off like the west coast of, somewhere in Central America, so it could have been Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, Panama, or maybe southern Mexico. So this was actually quite a bit of a surprise. So the organism was first encountered in an area historically impacted by industrial mining activity. Since then, specimens have been identified in both natural and human altered landscapes, revealing a level of adaptability that has surprised field researchers. So, rare island species identified in gold mining ruins. The new species, Dendrolophus atra, is part of the arboreal Dendrolophus genus of non-venomous colubrid snakes. A lot of snakes popping up. It was discovered on Mishima Island, once the site of a large scale gold mining operation that ceased in 2004. The species was confirmed in a peer reviewed study published in Zootaxa in April 2025, authored by herpetologist Fred Cross of the University of Michigan. The animal stands out for its nearly uniform black skin and reflective dark eyes. Juveniles are pale but darken as they mature through autogenetic melanization. Interesting. So it's one of these animals. Pigmentation process rarely observed in related species. No ecological role for the pigmentation has been established, but its uniqueness contributed to its formal designation. Initial sightings took place in a degraded mining corridor, followed by further documentation in highland forests and modified landscapes. These varied habitats suggest that D. atra may exhibit higher ecological flexibility than other island endemic reptiles in the region. Morphological analysis showed consistent differences from known Dendrolophus species in body, shape, skeletal structure, and coloration. The species name is derived from the Latin ater, meaning black. So the identification of D. atra was part of a broader regional survey led by Cross that resulted in the classification of four new tree snakes, each restricted to a single island with the Luisiade archipelago: Messima, Rosal, Sudest, and Woodlark. Whoa, okay, so there were four new species of tree snake. That's quite astonishing. This pattern reinforces the region's high level of island endemism, a product of geographic isolation and fragmented ecosystems. Now, not sure how large these islands are, but it's a bit not surprising. I would think, or I would assume that there would be different species of maybe small reptiles or amphibians on the island, maybe different species of birds, possibly fish hanging out in the area. So let's see. The Zoo Taxa article provides a comparative analysis of all four species, highlighting distinct traits and their distribution across isolated habitats. Oh, here they are. So, oh, hmm. Okay, let's see. Just trying to see if there's anything about the snakes. Um, okay. Yeah, that's it. All right. Well, that's good to hear. Let's head over to. Should we look at the video?
I'm putting up.
Oh, okay. So let's head over to the next article from KSL.com. Three wolves killed in Cache County. Ouch. Picture prompts concern over lethal removal. So let's see. Avon, Cache County. The emergence of a photo showing three dead wolves in northeastern Utah has sparked a lot of reaction. Oh, that's sad. Yeah, I've been reading for years that there have been sightings over in Utah when it comes to like different packs of wolves in the area. Yet the DNR, Department of Natural Resources over in Utah, has never um, won't put up that there's a breeding population there. So this is unfortunate. According to the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources, the animals were shot and killed by the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food on January 9th in Avon Cache County. It's always the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. I remember I was wondering about the raccoons in the area, and this was before I figured out they weren't native to this part of the United States. This is years back. And um and I think I asked somebody there, I'm like, "So, you, like, relocate the raccoons to, another part of the country?" And he probably said, "No, we just have the Department of Agriculture just deals with them." So, that means they just take them out, which, I mean, I assume there's tens of thousands, if not
You're saying they're killing them.
yeah, I mean, uh, there's so many over there that it's well, um I can't think of anything else that you could do. In much of the state, the wolves are federally protected, but in this one small area, the law allows for lethal action. DWR spokesperson Faith Heaton Jolly told KSL the wolves were in an area where there is livestock. That area is also what's called a delisted zone. What does that mean? Where the state is allowed to take action on wolves. Oh, okay. So if it's not federal land, they can take out the wolves. Um, I still find that incredibly odd. Um, let's keep going. I think recently also the wolf was taken off the endangered species list, which is um uh, I've there's not really much that I can say about that specific list because there's so many issues that come with that, and also certain all these different endangered animals, if there's something minor that they do, like say bears or brown bears robbing a dumpster, then they can get shot for it. Or if you touch a tree of an endangered woodpecker, then you can go to jail for that. And it doesn't make you want to protect the woodpecker. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of problems with I just look at it based on what's going on with their population, and um I don't think you should just simply go out and kill every single member of a certain species in the area, unless you have it where, in this case, they're taking out your livestock or they're a threat to your own family. That it comes to a point where it's like, yeah, take them out. But let's see. State law directs the DWR to prevent wolves from establishing breeding pairs in the delisted area of northern Utah. No, this is just simply them going in and killing the animals. This isn't. So far, we haven't seen anything about them taking out livestock. Currently, the delisted zone, the small area both north of I-80 and east of I-84, is the only area where the state of Utah has authority to manage wolves. I still think it's wrong just um, immediately going out and taking out the wolves whenever they show up. In the rest of the state, wolves are still considered endangered species and fall under federal control and protection. Wait, how old is this? This is recent. Maybe I'm wrong on the endangered species list thing?
Recent. That thing just came out.
Yeah, but I thought I saw a thing mentioning that they took them off the endangered species list and that would make them. I still don't know how that directly affects everything. Um, but yeah, this is unfortunate.
Well,
So,
is it off endangered species list by state or is it
no,
federal?
federal. So any federal land. Which Utah has quite a bit of. But more in the southern area of the state, though you could say the Uintah-Wasatch National Forest, which is mostly concentrated within northeastern Utah, and the Ashley National Forest. Let's see. Lonnie Evans, who lives in Avon, said she's seen wolves passing through and sometimes hears them. And I have not heard of any of my neighbors, and we haven't had the experience ourselves that we had actual issues with our cattle and wolves. She said from her recollection, the wolves don't stick around. We've either see them or neighbors or someone have seen them come through. On occasion, they even had collars, and to my knowledge, have been relocated back to wherever they came from. When she learned the wolves were killed close to where she lives, she was sad. I wish they would have had a way to relocate them rather than kill them, but I also don't want to see a calf killed either. Nature is hard. KSL asked DWR why it chose not to relocate the animals. The law directs DWR to prevent the establishment of packs in the delisted portion of Utah, and we don't have jurisdiction over there or over the endangered species listed areas of Utah or other surrounding states. Lethal removals ensure they don't establish breeding populations in Utah. Michael Robinson, senior conservation advocate with the Center for Biological Diversity, opposed lethal removal. Well, you guys oppose every single thing on Earth. But yes, one of those things where um, quite a few people agree. But you guys are nuts. You'd cut off hunting if you could. We are fighting through the science and through the courts. Yeah, no kidding. To restore those protections for wolves, including in northeastern Utah, because this was such a missed opportunity for wolves to come back and restore the balance throughout the beehive state. He argues we should let nature be. Yeah, so it is interesting. Uh, there wasn't any livestock killed, yet they took out the wolves. This isn't like that pack that we were talking about over in California that was taking out all the cattle. Very intelligent pack in the area, and the government somehow cannot locate them. So, um, this is quite something. Let's head over to the next article. Oh, okay. Let's take a look at a video beforehand.
Okay, this looks funny.
Oh boy, what's going on here? I think leopards track something. Oh no, is that a squirrel? There are squirrels in Africa, but the species is not hitting me. Wow. It's like watching
He's back down the tree.
it's like watching one of those fisher mustelid creatures, or relatives of the
And here he
ferret,
goes.
run up and down the tree. How great leopards are.
But look, he went down, back up. Look, look. She- oh yeah, chase me up, but I'm gonna run down. Oh, you're an idiot.
There goes Alvin.
Wait, he's a chipmunk or a
And
squirrel?
yeah, Alvin's a chipmunk.
No, I meant this guy.
Oh, no, it's a squirrel. No, there aren't any chipmunks over in Africa. And Megalosaurus also didn't enter Africa either.
Where were we? Here?
Yes. No, aside from the carnage, though we're probably heading back to the Mesozoic, so there's always carnage there. From Sci News, new species of sauropod dinosaur identified in museum drawer. Interesting. It's kind of like that hedgehog that popped up way back. A fossil brain case and partial skull roof from Carnegie Museum of Natural History has been reassessed and reclassified, giving rise to a new genus and species of digressaurid sauropod dinosaur, Athenar bormani. A lot of new species of dinosaur popping up. Um, I guess less so with the ceratopsians or the horned dinosaurs like Pentaceratops or Triceratops, but different species of sauropod. In some cases, different species of theropod, which are related to the sauropods, are both members of the Saurischia lineage of dinosaurs, but they're not giving them like Saurus or Adokus or Titan as an ending. It's just Athenar, though I don't know what that means. Holotypic brain case of Athenar brahmani. Whoa. Well, I mean, it's a sauropod. It can't be too large. Athenar brahmani lived in what is now Utah, the United States, during the late Jurassic, around 151 to 150 million years ago. Well, this is not very common. Okay, there have been different species of Dicryosaur sauropod discovered in the, well, I'm trying to remember. Okay, they're not too common, but this is a member of the Diplodocid lineage of long-necked sauropod dinosaurs. So let's see. What is astonishing, most dicryosaurid sauropods tend to occur within the Cretaceous period, so after 145 million years ago. But this is up to 6 million years beforehand. So this is very surprising. There have been certain species over in Portugal or southern Europe that have been discovered from the late Jurassic, along with another species of Allosaurus, other relatives of Brachiosaurus or Giraffatitan. So let's take a look. The dinosaur's remains, designated as the Carnegie Museum specimen 26552, were originally collected in 1913 in rocks belonging to the Morrison Formation. This is an enormous fossil formation over in western North America. Covers areas of, I believe, the like southern part of Alberta, down through different parts of Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico. And Carnegie Quarry at Dinosaur National Monument. Okay, so it was found over in northwestern Colorado. Also, can we pull up a picture of a dicryosaurid called a Margosaurus? So Amargosaurus. Now, there were different species of dicryosaurid sauropod that looked somewhat like a smaller species of, or smaller version of Diplodocus to an extent, a bit more of a I guess a taller skull compared to different larger species of the Diplodocid family, such as Diplodocus. Let's see. Also, this is Margosaurus, and it's still a bit of a debate as to precisely how the elongated neck vertebra, technically, it's even to the middle section of its tail, had very elongated vertebrae compared to most other species of sauropod. There were certain other species of the dicryosaurid lineage that had elongated back vertebrae, but not really to the extent of a Margosaurus. So, were they connected by tissue? Were they just simply protruding out of the animal's neck and there wasn't anything connecting them? I would think them, for the most part, being vertebrae, there would be some sort of connective tissue. And these were herbivores. So they were feeding on different species of conifers at the time. So this animal existed over in different parts of southern Brazil, Argentina, around, I believe, 100 and between 115 110 million years ago during the early Cretaceous. So this is far after different species of late Jurassic sauropod like Diplodocus and Brachiosaurus would have gone extinct. However, this animal was inhabiting South America.
Okay, this one's weird.
Oh, yeah, this one's a bit odd. Might be an AI thing, but there's a species of a belly sore behind it. Carnotaurus did not exist in this region, which is what it looks like. to an extent. At least, you know what it looks like? It looks like that a belly sword we saw last time. But certain Dicryosaurids, there's also a tail in the front of the screen, not connecting to anything. Um,
What am I looking at?
well, this is interesting because what this specific type of dinosaur photo, they tend to be quite skinny. But in this instance, they actually gave these Amargasaurs quite
It looks like it has arms and not legs.
yeah, are a bit more weight. You could say the Diplodocids were a bit more lightly built compared to many other groups of sauropod. And here, I still think there should be a bit more muscle on the Amargasaur's legs, but they gave it extensive tissue. The problem is they gave all of these different small osteoderms, which is likely to have occurred on certain other larger species of Diplodocid. But Amargasaurus, they're going to be much more separate and probably much larger compared to the small ones that we're seeing here. This is more of a Diplodocus sort of a look. I think this animal or this individual looks a bit better, but he still has very skinny forelimbs.
Oh, something's wrong with the face on this guy.
Um, yeah, it is. Technically, he should have lips. Also, his eyes, I think, maybe a bit off.
It's like a fish face.
Oh yeah, that too. There's also very little vegetation around. But the thing is, yeah, it is interesting. They covered it with dense amounts, like almost muscle and tissue. But what was the other thing? So a Margosaurus could reach probably around 30 to 35 feet in length, somewhere between 9 to 11 meters, and probably weigh somewhere around 5 to 6 tons. So it was a smaller species of sauropod, even for the Diplodocids. It was a rather small species. So it's
Make it room.
yeah, that was probably the better one, the first individual. So let's see. Until now, the specimen was assigned to a genus of sauropod dinosaurs called Diplodocus. Whoa. Well, that's not surprising. I mean, Diplodocus is now and then found in the Morrison Formation. It's one of the most famous species of dinosaurs, or genre of dinosaurs to be discovered in the Morrison Formation. So, Carnegie Museum of Natural History houses some of the most important specimens for our understanding of Diplodocid sauropod cranial anatomy. One specimen, CM26552, is often overlooked in favor of more complete skulls, but bears an outsized historical importance as this specimen formed the basis for the modern description of brain case anatomy for Diplodocus as a genus. In light of several decades of new discoveries since the original description in 1978, we reevaluate the anatomy and taxonomic relationships of this specimen. The new analysis shows that the features of CM26552 align better with a different group of sauropods, the Dicryosauridae. CM26552 exhibits a mosaic of traits that enable it to be confidently differentiated from the other known North American Dicryosaurid species. Based on this, we assign CM26552 to the new genus Athenar with the specific epithet Bermani. So let's see. The study also shows that Athenar bermani is closely related to the Dicryosaur genus Suwassia. I've heard of Suwassia, but it's not hitting me where this is from. Considering CMN, not just referring to geographic region, but even what period in time during the Mesozoic. Definitely not the Triassic or the earlier mid Jurassic. So, considering CM26552 as a new dicryosaur species enhances the knowledge of the diversity of this family in the Morrison Formation and in North America more generally, expanding the historically underestimated sauropod diversity of the unit. Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is popping up in Utah. This is quite a discovery for the dicryosaur lineage. So, oh, should we take a look at another video? Oh, okay. That might be a female. That looks like a large hyena.
Now wait a minute.
Oh, is its cub up in the tree?
Nope.
That was a jump. Yeah, those guys can jump. She's rubbing her scent on the little tree. Oh, it's trying to grab the carcass.
That's not a carcass.
I think so.
No, there's a cat.
Wait, are you saying it's trying to grab the
Look
leopard?
at it. Yeah.
I thought I was seeing like a carcass there.
Oh, I don't see it. Oh, did the cat take something up there?
Oh yeah, leopards. As long as the prey item's small enough, will take them up in the trees. Not always, but they tend to do it for reasons like this. Occasionally, lions will walk up. Okay, so from discovermagazine.com, let's see. Photoluminescence makes these mousy Australian mammals glow. Learn more about the difference between bioluminescence and photoluminescence and about the particular chemical compounds that give bandicoots and other Australian mammals their colorful glow. The bandicoots. I'm going to guess that this animal specifically is tranquilized. Are those its youngsters? What am I looking at? No.
I don't know what that is.
This is a bandicoot. So this is a carnivorous marsupial over in southern Australia. They barely weigh, but maybe 2 to 3 pounds, a little over a kilogram. The fur of the northern long-nosed bandicoot, Parameles pelescens, shines pink under ultraviolet light. These are animals out there that glow, and a lot more of them than you might think. Indeed, you may assume that it's only the gleaming fish, squid, and shrimp that make their own light. But many mammals glow too, not through bioluminescence, but through photoluminescence, a distinct biological process that's best spotted by observing animals under ultraviolet, violet, or blue light. So let's see. Team of researchers recently set out to identify the chemistry that makes some mammals glow under these wavelengths of light. Reporting their results in a study in Plus One, the team found which photoluminescent chemical compounds, or luminophores, appear in the fur of the bandicoot, mouse like marsupial from Australia, as well as in the fur of 5 other Australian mammals. We wanted to find out where the luminophores or present in bandicoot fur might be common across multiple species. So here's another individual. Oh, it's that another bandicoot? That's a smaller um, bandicoot. So let's see. While photoluminescent animals glow, they glow differently from bioluminescent animals, which generate light through chemical reactions. Instead, photoluminescence, which includes both biofluorescence and biophosphorence, gives off a gleam by absorbing and emitting externally generated light, transforming it in the process from higher energy wavelengths, like those of ultraviolet, violet, or blue light, into low energy ones. Many mammals, and many Australian mammals in particular, possess photoluminescent fur, a widely accepted fact among biologists. So, rats, along with bandicoots, possums, bats, tree kangaroos, and many other creatures in Australia and around the world, are photoluminescent. They glow under ultraviolet, violet, or blue light. But the first paper to chemically assess Australian animals' luminophores, or the chemical compounds involved in their photoluminescence, was published only around 50 years ago in 1971. Oh, well, I guess this came out a bit earlier, but let's see. Setting out to learn more about the luminophores in Australia's photoluminescent mammals. The team of researchers turned to the fur of 7 separate species, including 2 species of bandicoot, Hermelis paliscens and Isudon macurus, 1 species of quoll. This is one of the smaller species of marsupial, well, larger than the bandicoots, but it's a predator in the region. They can reach a little over 8 pounds, depending, or 3.5 kilograms, depending on the species. You have the eastern quoll, spotted quoll. Let's see, 1 species. They're mostly insectivores, but they'll go after smaller marsupials or even birds. 1 species of possum, Trichucerus johnstii. 1 species of tree kangaroo, Dendrogalus lumholtz, a Lumholtz tree kangaroo. I'm not sure about the possums. There are a wide variety of different species of possum over in eastern Australia. 1 species of rat, Rattus tunni. There are a handful of different species of native rat to Australia. So many tend to assume like the only native species of placental or non-marsupial mammal is the dingo, and that's far from the truth. There are different species of native rodent on the island. as well as a single species of platypus, Ornithorhynchus anitinus. Identifying the photoluminescent luminophores present in these species' fur, which shine in various, sometimes simultaneous shades of pink, blue, yellow, and white. The team's analyses showed that different luminophores were present in the fur of different animals, varying from species to species. Almost said feet. The researchers write that the chemistry involved in the photoluminescence of Australian mammals is potentially much more complex than traditionally thought, with the results indicating the presence of several luminophores that remain to be identified or confirmed. Um, okay. So, to study these animals' luminophores, the team collected roadkill from Queensland, Australia, so northeastern part of the country, and analyzed the chemical composition of the carcass's fur with high performance liquid chromatography, a technique that isolates specific chemical components from more complex mixtures. Protoporphyrin was present in all species in this study, but the intensity differed. It is possible that protoporphyrin is a ubiquitous compound in fur that varies in concentration in different species. Moreover, the team found that the pink photoluminescence in both bandicoot species, as well as in the quoll and the possum, was probably tied to the presence of other porphyrin compounds in their fur, including europorphyrin, coproporphyrin, and heptacarboxyporphyrin.
Okay, I'm tired just listening to this.
According to the study, the work is first of its kind analysis for these 7 Australian species, all of which are found in the wet tropical forests of Queensland. Um, so it's first studied to indicate the extent of the most unidentified luminiphore composition cross species marsupial monotreme. That's referring to either the monotremes are either the echidna or the platypus. Well, there's handful of different species of echidna. But let's see, and placental mammal fur from one bioregion of Australia or one large ecoregion. There used to be many more species of monotreme, like back in the Mesozoic era as well. So during the time of the dinosaurs. Okay, so um, we're gonna take a 3 minute break. So we'll be back.
Do, 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 do. I think he went to run laps around a kangaroo.
Okay, should we take a look at a video after um, that very
Okay, I
interesting?
have two. This one is weird.
What's going on here? Large amount of hyenas. I wonder if this is that area of was it Kenya possibly, or maybe Ethiopia, where they feed the hyenas, and so they're waiting for some guys to come out with some meat, and
They just leave everybody alone.
seems that way. Yeah, not too surprising.
Okay, and this I found funny.
Let's see. So maybe we could be off of one of the Georgia islands or one of the islands off the coast of Australia. Trying to think, maybe
So the
these
two
are
groups go up to each other, one little, one big, and then the little guys just.
macaroni penguins.
But it's funny.
Hmm.
Eh, wait, they don't even know where they're going.
That was interesting. Wonder who those were and where it was occurring as well. Okay, so from fisheries.noaa.gov. Oh, 2025 results of stellar sea lion surveys in Alaska. The Alaska Fisheries Science Center's Marine Mammal Laboratory conducts annual crewed aircraft and vessel surveys to known terrestrial stellar sea lion rookery and haul out sites in Alaska to collect visual counts and high resolution imagery. So, the stellar sea lion is the largest species of sea lion on Earth. They are much larger than their California sea lion relatives. California sea lions and many of their populations don't usually exceed over 1,000 pounds or a little over 500 kilograms. Have been larger individuals, but stellar sea lions can easily reach over 2,000 pounds, depending on the area, or a little over 900 kilograms. And they are notorious squid eaters. And they'll feed on different species of fish, I think occasionally even going after salmon. And possibly smaller, well, definitely seabirds, but smaller marine mammals as well. So I'm not sure if they prey on the sea otters occasionally. So in 2024, Marine Mammal Laboratory focused efforts on the Western Distinct Population segment in Alaska, where the vessel based team surveyed in the Western and Central Aleutian Islands regions. The crewed aircraft team did not conduct surveys this year. The vessel-based survey collected counts in person or with an uncrewed aircraft system from 22 sites, totaling 2,013 non-pups and 919 pups. Oh, I mean, I guess that's decent for the overall population. Wonder where Central Aleutian Islands, just not hitting me where that specifically is. We used AG Trend, our package, to model all raw count data through 2025 to estimate modeled counts as an index of abundance and annual rates of change since 2010. The estimated model count for the Western DPS of Alaska was 38,911 non pups and 12,762 pups. Um, hmm, Interesting. Wonder what's referring to by the DPS.
I don't
This
think it's the Department of Public Safety.
No, I don't think it is either. This year, the non-pup 15-year trend changed from increasing to stable or no growth, while pup counts increased from 2010 to 2025. Hmm, that is interesting. It's not a bad thing. I guess I mean it seems that it's overall stable, at least in this population. So that's good to see. Head over to next article.
We want to.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's see the next video. Uh-oh, what's going no, what's going on here? No, no. It was okay, that was funny. Whoa.
At least nobody stepped on it.
Yeah. So, like, you can have it occasionally where females will have tusks when it comes to Asian elephants, but
So basically, they came out of an alley
yeah,
and they just wanted to take the road.
that guy just disappeared. And that was that was funny. Okay, so let's see. So from capcity.news, Gordon pairs back Wyoming's first pronghorn migration, overriding game and fish commissioners. A long delayed migration corridor designation advanced by Wyoming's governors, preferred by the livestock industry. It foregoes protections for animals that use the Red Desert and Golden Triangle. So these are a couple of ecosystems, large areas over in Wyoming. Some pronghorn. Doe and fawn pronghorn that call the Golden Triangle region home to stay vigilant while being photographed in September 2025. On again, off again plans to protect habitat used by about 5,000 pronghorn that migrate through the Red Desert and the Golden Triangle region east of Farson are once again off again. On Thursday, Governor Mark Gordon announced that he was moving forward with the next step of the labyrinth process for designating Western Wyoming's sublet pronghorn migration corridor, which began 6 years ago. But the governor explained that he sought to only protect 8 of 10 segments that have been mapped, leaving out the 2 easternmost areas. Let's see. So, wonder where specifically he's talking about. It's got to be a large area. The Wyoming Game and Fish Department proposed the same plan in September, trimming off 270,000 plus acres. Or, let's see, what is that? 100, 180,000 hectares? But that seems a bit large, though. No, it's pushing like it's not hitting me. But that proved unpopular largely because emanated from the livestock industry. Later that month, the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission reversed course, adding the 2 segments back. Now, Gordon, who's appointed all the sitting game and fish commissioners, has trumped their proposal to designate the corridor in full. Under Wyoming's migration policy, it's ultimately the governor who decides whether a route gets designated. Huh. Um, it is quite interesting. So, why would you cut off some of the corridor? That doesn't make any sense. This is the first test of the state's migration policy, and it's been a bumpy road that illustrates the difficulty of protecting energy rich landscapes for wildlife's sake. Gordon was not available for an interview on Thursday afternoon. So, let's see if there's anything else about this. Somebody. Let's see. Game and Fish Commissioner Ken Roberts said it was a tough issue, but that he respected the decision. I can't take it personally. We're just part of the equation. I'm happy we got the 8 segments. Meanwhile, Wyoming Stock Growers Association Executive Vice President Jim Magagna, whose ranch is adjacent to the off again segments, said that he was pleased, although he first pushed the idea of trimming the pronghorn herds east of Farson and Red Desert segments. The plan was later adopted by the Game and Fish Department as its own. So at the time, wildlife managers explained their support for leaving off the 2 segments because there were no migration bottlenecks there and threats to the habitat were relatively limited. So kind of like a dead end, I'm guessing. I don't buy that they did it just because I asked for it. Magna told Wildfile. I think they did it because they did the review and said that the science justified taking that approach. Notably, threats to habitat within the dropped segments may soon change. The Bureau of Land Management currently has a protective area of critical environmental concern in place, overlapping much of the east of Farson segment. This is kind of funny what we're reading here between the politicians and I guess some other people. But the research management plan there is being revised on a tight timeline. Concurrently, the oil and gas industry has shown significant interest in leasing ground in the area, including an especially ecologically valuable swath of the sagebrush steppe biome known as the Golden Triangle. There's quite a bit of the sagebrush steppe over in different parts of southern Idaho, Wyoming, Utah. But yeah, this is a bit of a um, this is part of this pronghorn specific migration route. Yeah, so here, this is actually part of the southern part of the Greater Yellowstone ecosystem. I might even say somewhat towards the central part of it. So you have the Wind River Range. There are brown bears that inhabit these different areas, or grizzlies, as well as certain black bears, elk herds in the region. You have some cougars. Think wolf, possibly wolf packs in this area. Let's see. I think I think these are specifically different herds, possibly. Or are we looking at a different, maybe a different ecoregion, not a herd? Hmm, that's my question. So basically, this is part of Western Wyoming. So, yeah. Wildlife advocacy groups in Wyoming had mixed reactions to Gordon's announcement. Keep thinking of an angry chef. Craig Benjamin, who directs the Wyoming Wildlife Federation, said that he appreciated the governor's decision to pursue the next step in the migration designation process. With pronghorn populations down roughly 40% and facing growing pressures on the landscape, it's important that we work together to designate as much of the corridor as feasible to keep this migration intact. So, the Wyoming Outdoor Council's Megan Riley struck a starkly different tone. This decision subverts the will of the people and direction from the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission to the detriment of thousands of pronghorn in the Sublette herd that will now be excluded from this process. Wait. Whoa. Did that just kick the pronghorn out of the equation? Sheesh. Um, we are deeply disappointed with this decision, but remained committed to seeing designation advance for the remaining segments of the migration corridor. Retired game and fish biologist Rich Gensel was also disheartened by the news, calling it a political decision that ignores the herd's biological needs. I would respectfully disagree with the governor on his assessment, who personally endowed a pronghorn specific conservation fund. I don't know his rationale, other than they're not biological. Can we pull up a male pronghorn picture? So, efforts to protect the remaining 8 segments of the Sublette pronghorns herds migration paths still face some hurdles. Yeah, I think we were looking at pictures of the um, different herds further up. Because it's not just one pronghorn herd. It's like the different elk herds in the region, mule deer herds. Gordon will soon appoint a local working group. Okay, yes. So here's a male individual. Pronghorn aren't relatively very large. They only get to about maybe 130 pounds or a little over 60 kilograms. That's a pretty large male pronghorn. And they do not shed their horns. You might have it where there's an outer layer of keratin they might shed now and then, but they are permanent. And these are also relatives of the giraffe and not so much other species or species of antelope. So they used to be hunted by what's known as the American cheetah, but is actually more closely related to the cougar. Might have had a somewhat sort of cheetah type of gait, but
Wait a minute. Did you just say they're related to the cheetah?
no, they're related. The pronghorn are related to giraffes.
Oh,
Or they're also
okay.
known as giraffeoids. You used to have an animal called Americanonyx, which would have hunted the pronghorn back in the Ice Age or the Pleistocene. It's still a mystery as to why they're able, or what caused this evolutionary adaptation for them to be able to run for an extended distance for at such a high speed. And the cats that hunted them, weren't they didn't have a lot of stamina. That's something that you see in different animals, especially wolves or coyotes, which do hunt pronghorn. Cougars will also hunt them occasionally. It was also a bit larger than today's cougars when it came to that hunter. So you can find pronghorn in different parts of the western United States, mostly in different open plains regions or even different sagebrush ecosystems, occasionally come into contact with different woodland. So let's see. So Gordon will soon appoint a local working group consisting of 2 representatives of the agriculture industry, 2 industrial users, oil, gas, mining, and renewable, 2 representatives for wildlife conservation and hunting, and a single representative for motorized recreation. Applications to the group are being accepted through December 31st. The local working group is ultimately charged with reviewing the game and fish's risk assessment, corridor components, potential impacts to socioeconomic conditions of the region, conservation opportunities, highway projects, and other factors appropriate to the potential designation. So I guess here's an older picture of a few guys collaring a pronghorn. It's probably a female. So Doug Breimer left converses with Hal Sawyer during a 1998 pronghorn capture operation Grand Teton National Park. Okay, so this is one of the northern pronghorn herds. The migratory animals are part of the broader sublet herd. Hmm. Thought it was maybe further back in time. So let's see. Is there anything else? If he designates the corridor to be the first since Wyoming's migration policy was revamped in 2019, but he can also kick it back to Game and Fish for refinement or reject it. On the federal level, there have been efforts to protect the Sublette pronghorn herd's migration paths for a quarter century. In 2008, the Bridger Teton National Forest amended its forest plan, protecting that portion, and the route earned publicity and was given the moniker the Path of the Pronghorn. Hmm. Let's see. So, but southernmost stretches, which cut through mostly Bureau of Land Management property, ran to political pressure and have remained unprotected ever since. So is this the end of? Yep. Ooh, okay. So there's quite a bit of debate with this major migration area for different herds of pronghorn. So take a look at another video. Hopefully, it stays intact. So I really wonder what the population is though of these different herds. Oh yeah, this guy.
It,
Yeah, it's
the idea
a
that he backed up,
yeah,
it's
I heard
just
about
funny
this. I think it was a zoo over in Poland and the muntjac deer, which is endemic to different parts of South Asia. I believe they also coexist with the greater one-horned rhino. um, but he got loose and ended up going to the greater one-horned rhino's enclosure. The rhino's just playing with him. He's probably quite relieved that there's another type of creature.
that he can play with.
Yeah,
Yeah, they should probably just leave him in there with him.
yeah. It's like why not?
The idea that he thinks he can even do that is amazing. It's like he's not worried the rhino's gonna crush him.
Yeah, it shows how intelligent the two are too. I think what's also funny is that you have these 2 which aren't really seen in the snow. If probably almost, um, rarely if ever snows in the seasonal flood grasslands where the greater one-horned rhino inhabits. So that's good to see. Okay, so from outdoors.com, let's see what's going on here. So massive moose barrels down Main Street in Norway. For many of us, the moose is very far down on the list of potential animals you might see running through the street in the middle of the day. However, in Røros, Norway, seeing a moose barrel down the street is a possibility, and it happened last month to the delight of many locals and tourists. Kari Horsvig Berge was one of the witnesses, so she caught a video of the random running moose and posted it into Instagram. So, only in Norway, a surprise VIP guest stormed down the main street of Røros. Full grown moose on a solo city tour. Locals and tourists were stunned as it galloped through the historic town like it's owned the place. Make way for King of the Forest. We have bike lanes in California. Maybe they need a moose lane in rural Norway. However, a Canadian in the comments section just couldn't let the only in Norway part go. Yeah, considering Canada has over 8 somewhere between 400,000 and 800,000 moose. It's quite an amount. Might be more, might be pushing 1,000,000.
Is that where the moose burger thing came from?
No, that was Alaska. Well, I don't know where the moose burger was probably invented over in, um, Europe, maybe, but definitely Alaska is where I heard of it. So only in Norway.
Okay, how do we
There he comes. Oh,
oh, well, wait, I'm trying to
Um,
I can't.
no. Well, so it's definitely in the probably late spring or well, this could be I guess late April or early May, so I guess you could say that's mid-spring. He's at full gallop, sort of taking his time. He's like, "The lake, I need some
He's just
high
running straight
sodium
to
plants." That was good to see. He wasn't concerned about anybody, almost as if he people know him and they're just thinking, "Oh, it's um
Osho.
um
I don't know what his name would be.
yeah, I was just trying to think of something. It's Fred. Let him through."
In Norway?
Uh, yeah, that's not a very traditional name, but couldn't wouldn't hit me.
Is that the end?
Yeah, I think that's the end of it. So it looks like a healthy moose too.
Okay, I thought this was funny.
What is that?
I think
That's
it's a
not real. I don't. I mean, well, maybe it is. There's something odd about his legs. Well, maybe it's in fast motion.
yeah, I think they sped it up.
Okay. Yeah, those are really thin trees. I think it's a Eurasian brown bear.
The other one's significantly larger.
Yeah, maybe it's a brother and sister. And he's just slowly making his way down.
Okay, this is humorous.
I don't think that's real. No way. No.
I'm looking at the kittens. I don't think it is either.
Yes, AI. Okay, so from MSN.com, a magical golden penguin was caught on camera. Here's why it looks like that. Okay, nature is a way of okay, let's see. So one such moment stirred curiosity across the world when a Belgian wildlife photographer, Yves Adams, had the rarest stroke of luck during a 2-month expedition of South Georgia Island. There are a lot of king penguins here, like over 130,000 king penguin individuals, which are the second largest species of penguin on Earth. In fact, could you look up king penguins? They reach somewhere around 50 pounds. This is a pretty large individual, or over 22 kilograms. And they feed on a wide variety of, well, let's just say,
I just pulled up king pigeons.
I forgot about those. Um, but they feed mostly on Antarctic krill. In fact, that's a major food source for the different species of Antarctic penguin, different Antarctic seal species, as well as the whales and dolphins in the region, including the orcas. And yes, the orcas will feed on krill, but they will also feed on different species of fish in the
I'm not
area
sure
as
this
well.
is real.
No, I don't think so. That's probably not an authentic picture. Yeah, that's a king penguin. So they're not as robust as the emperor penguins further south because the emperor penguins do not inhabit the Georgia Islands. However, there was that individual that reached southern Australia, so that was quite interesting. Yeah, I believe it's a king penguin with its chick.
So how long does it take for them to change?
Oh, I believe it's within the case of a few months,
Well, that's a fast growth period.
or I might be overestimating that a little bit. Um, it's not hitting me the amount of time for specifically king penguins. Okay, so let's see what's going on. So Vess Adams had the rare stroke of luck during. Oh, he had captured images of a king penguin with bright yellow plumage, a creature that had never been seen before. Among a massive colony of roughly 120,000 standard black and white king penguins, one stood out for its golden feathers shimmering like sunlight on ice. Photos taken of the bird only surfaced a year later. surprising people around the world with its ethereal beauty. The moment was unexpected and magical. One of the birds looked really strange, and when I looked closer, it was yellow. We all went crazy when we realized we dropped all the safety equipment and grabbed our cameras. Are you climbing down like a mountain? King penguins normally wear a classic tuxedo of black and white with patches of yellow at their necks, but this particular bird lacked melanin in its black feathers, turning them into shades of yellow and cream, which is identified as leucism. So let's see. Experts like conservation biologist D. Spursma and ecologist Hein van Groo confirmed that the bird is most likely leucistic, not albino. Spursma explained this penguin is lacking some pigment, so it is leucistic. True albinos have lost all pigment, with some subtle brown tones retained in certain feathers. The bird may be described using terms such as ino, a European term for a partial pigment oxidation fault, though definitions vary across regions. So leucism in penguins is extraordinarily rare. Estimates suggest it occurs in between 1 in 20,000 and 1 in 146,000 individuals. Fitting the luck of stumbling upon one during Adam's trip aboard Panda. Its exceptional color could make survival more difficult, as the more dark on back and light on belly shade helps to camouflage penguins from predators both from above and below the water. So, surface. Wow. I tell you what, that is a very that's a good looking penguin. But yeah, he is quite he might have also just have issues with hunting fish too.
He's keeping his eye on you.
Yeah, that's true. That is something. I really do wonder how the other penguins would react to him. See, it is a rare condition that causes animals to lose some or all of the pigment in their skin, feathers, or fur. Unlike albinism, which completely blocks melanin production and often results in pink eyes, leucism only affects the distribution of pigment. So animals can still have normal colored eyes and beaks. In birds, this can lead to patches of white feathers or in rare cases, entirely pale or unusual shade. Pigment cells still exist, but they don't work properly when forming color in certain areas. It's a natural genetic mutation and doesn't usually harm the animal. So is there anything else? That's it. Oh, that was good to see. Is there another video? Okay.
I have 2.
The India one though was funny. And same thing for the Africa one. I guess I was slight shock with the one at nighttime. Oh, I think I've seen this. I think this had occurred at one of those areas where they let the cheetah roam free, and he's quite used to people, or at least his caretakers.
So is he a pet or is he just
I would think in some of an instance, or some instances, he could be a, I guess, pet to the people that took care of him. But cheetahs are also like the most social of any big cat. Or I guess you could say,
docile?
let me rephrase that. I guess you could say docile or like a dog, considering they used to be used for hunting like rabbits and small antelope in different parts of northern Africa, Arabia, and actually even current times. I think occasionally also looked like possibly a young male. So it's just a mother. I'm guessing Kodiak resting with her cubs. Yeah, it seemed pretty healthy. This is definitely, I'm going to guess maybe June or July when this is occurring. She doesn't seem to have a ton of weight on her, but they seem pretty well fed.
Someone's coming for more food.
Yeah, Kodiak brown bears, especially the females, they don't usually reach much more than maybe 800 pounds. That's a pretty large female, or a little over 390 kilograms. There's about 3,000 of them. Well, Kodiaks as a whole over on the um, island of Kodiak in the Kodiak archipelago of southern Alaska. So, in the final article, From Sci News, Pleistocene age fossils reveal hopping wasn't just for small kangaroos. New research by paleontologists from the University of Bristol, the University of Manchester, and the University of Melbourne finds that giant ancestors of modern day kangaroos had robust hind limb bones and tendon support capable of withstanding hopping stresses, indicating that size didn't strictly limit this iconic gait as once believed. This is interesting because you would think for the giant kangaroos that used to inhabit Australia. So we're talking about animals like Procoptodon that could reach over 7 to 8 feet in height, or a little over 2.5 meters, and probably weigh somewhere between I'd say around 400 pounds, or a little over 190 kilograms. Couldn't hop, and you would think they would just walk, and apparently they could. So this is good to see. Let's see. Today, the red kangaroo is the largest living hopping animal and weighs around 90 kilograms or 200 pounds. That's a big male boss kangaroo. But during the Ice Age or the Pleistocene, some kangaroos grew more than twice the size of that, some reaching up to 250 kilograms. Whoa, well, that's bigger than I was suggesting. Um, that's pushing 500. No, I think maybe 480 to 500 480 to 500 pounds.
Yeah, kilograms, that would be, quite large.
Huge. You could have probably had certain ones reach over 600 to 700 pounds with a massive individual. Let's see. What was I thinking of? Now, there is also certain areas of Australia today that will snow. You even have the Australian Alps in certain parts of, or a certain part of southern Australia. It's very possible that occasionally, like the other large mammals roaming the Ice Age, you would have had it where they were now and then um, having to endure winter storms. So let's see. For years, researchers believed these giants must have abandoned hopping, as earlier studies suggested that hopping would become mechanically impossible above about 150 kilograms or 310, 320 pounds. That is interesting. I did not know that. Previous estimates were based on simply scaling up modern kangaroos, which may mean we miss crucial anatomical differences. Um, hmm. Uh, that's a bit odd that they were suggesting it around that weight that it's impossible considering I've seen brown bears. I'm not sure about Kodiaks, but definitely mainland grizzly bears hop. Now they're not doing it obviously consistently, but maybe it was a smaller individual. So that's odd. Also, elk and moose technically hop. Or kudu, I'm not sure about eland, but definitely kudu hop, and they weigh over 1,000 pounds or over 500 kilograms. This is interesting. But maybe it's talking about specifically this type of hopping with the kangaroos. So let's keep going. Um, our findings show that these animals weren't just larger versions of today's kangaroos. They were built differently in ways that helped them manage their enormous size. In the new study, Dr. Jones and her colleagues studied the hind limbs of 94 modern and 40 fossil specimens from 63 kangaroo and wallaby species, including members of the extinct giant kangaroo group from Potemnodon, which lived during the Pleistocene epoch between 2.6 million years and 11,700 years ago. Unless there were certain kangaroos that existed to the end of the Pleistocene, um, most of the megafauna went extinct around 50,000 years ago. So long before the other megafauna that would go extinct around 11,000 years ago, for most of the megafauna. For each species, they used published estimates of their weight and the length and diameter of their fourth metatarsals, so referring to their ankles, an elongated foot bone key for hopping in modern kangaroos to calculate whether they could have withstood the strain of hopping. The scientists then compared the heel bone structures of giant kangaroos with those of modern kangaroo species. They estimated the size of the tendon required to withstand the forces and required to facilitate hopping in giant kangaroos and calculated whether their heel bones would have been large enough to accommodate tendons of this size. This would definitely have made these kangaroos a lot more challenging for different species of carnivore to hunt them, whether it was the giant lizards such as Megalania or the marsupial lions like a Leo, which technically weren't a lion. They were more closely related to the thylacine, or in quote, the Tasmanian tiger. And those carnivores could reach up to somewhere around 250 to 300 pounds, or a little over 140 kilograms. They were jaguar sized.
So they weren't very big.
Um, for a marsupial carnivore, they
Oh,
were.
well, okay. Yeah.
But yes, for placentals, you could say, uh, guess medium sized by today's standards, small for back then. Well, mm, somewhat. Let's see. Okay. So together, the findings suggest that the hind limbs of all giant kangaroos were robust enough for them to be able to hop. Wow. Okay, that wasn't hitting me because I'm just thinking, oh, all right, one or two species were able to hop. Well, that's good. No, all of them. That's great. Um, However, the researchers propose that it is unlikely giant kangaroos would have relied on hopping for all locomotion, owing to their large body sizes making this inefficient over longer distances. Oh, was it only for a short burst that they were able to hop like this? Now, obviously, when you look at the ground dwelling kangaroos today, they walk on all fours, and at once they're having to bring both feet together. But the question is that could these larger kangaroos hop also at a certain speed over longer distances? I'm going to guess that they were much slower than the kangaroos of today, which red kangaroos, eastern grays can easily hop at 30 miles per hour. I wouldn't say easily, but a red kangaroo can probably reach a top speed of 40 to 45 miles per hour. But I'm guessing these larger kangaroos, maybe 20 miles per hour is pushing it. Let's see. Mm, However, okay, they note that sporadic hopping is already seen in many of today's smaller species, such as hopping rodents and smaller marsupials. Oh, well, you also have animals like the jerboa over in the Sahara Desert that exclusively only walks and hops on two legs. Where's another one? The kangaroo rat, possibly. And I'm trying to think of another one. I think it's possibly a relative of the jerboa, which actually feeds on different species of insect. So let's see. They note that they speculate that short, quick bursts of hopping may have helped some giant kangaroo species evade predators, such as those belonging to a group of extinct marsupial lions known as Thylacoleo. Thicker tendons are safer, but they store less elastic energy. This likely made giant kangaroos slower and less efficient hoppers, better suited to short bursts of movement rather than long distance travel. Well, that possibly means that these kangaroos had the ability to quickly burst into a hop, and it wasn't like this gradual um, increase to speed. It was probably immediate. They just couldn't do it for very long. So let's see. Um, but hopping does not have to be extremely energy efficient to be useful. These animals probably use their hopping ability to cross rough ground quickly or to escape danger. Our findings contribute to the notion that kangaroos had a broader ecological diversity in prehistoric Australia than we find today, with some large species grazers like modern kangaroos, while others were browsers, an ecological niche not seen in today's large kangaroos. Yeah, kangaroo is pretty much not referring to the tree kangaroos, but the ground dwelling ones exclusively feed on different species of grass. Different species of wallabies also occasionally feed on grass, but many of them are browsers and they're feeding on different species of bushes or shrubs. The tree kangaroos were probably some or somewhat closer to feeding behavior as the giant kangaroos were. So, probably feeding on different species of trees, and maybe the tree kangaroos were feeding on species of shrub, not so much the different species of grasses at the time. So, um,
I have 3 goofy videos to end it with.
okay, let's take a look.
Oop.
Oh, eh, there's a rabbit helping out.
I just thought this was hilarious. And
He's being somewhat alert for danger and then taking out a scoop or two.
Well, he seemed to stop the second the person stopped shoveling.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Not this one.
That was a good looking rabbit. Let's see what occurs here. That's funny.
Woohoo! Yeah. But
This is authentic. Well,
probably.
maybe.
Yeah. It's like they keep melting. I can't get them.
That's funny. I'm guessing it's a black bear.
Okay. One left. Okay. A woman gave a hungry fox food and he came back with his friends.
Oh boy. There's probably going to show up like probably
Like,
4 more will appear.
uh,
I think they're over behind him.
where's it at? I need food. Well, we all need food.
Whoa, yep. Wow. Whoa.
That would be funny. Okay.
Yeah, they're quite social. So thanks for joining. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share the show with everyone you know, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.